Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Live right now. Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is a new episode and a new week. We do have some exciting news. One is we're going live. We are going live on May the 2nd. We cannot wait to hear you guys' theories of how you feel about the episode. We are excited. We'll go live on our TikTok or YouTube or both. We haven't figured out. We will let you know in the upcoming days where we be live at and what time. And I cannot wait to hear what you think of the episode and your theories. Also, we will have a special guest for the next week episode. We cannot wait for you guys to hear him. He has an organization called Missing Black People. He will come in and talk about the case that made him start his organization. So tune in for next week episode. And I have to say a big trigger warning to this case. This case, when I read it, guys, gave me the chills. So trigger warning on this episode. Today's case took place in a building at 5635 Clemens Avenue. Didn't belong to time anymore. Its bricks had turned the color of old blood, cracked and bowed. Years of rain and heat in Midwestern frost. Windows where glass once lived, gape open like empty socket. It stood hunched and hollow on the northern edge of St. Louis. Not so much forgotten as deliberately ignored. People passed it without looking, without speaking its name. It was a kind of place the city pretended wasn't there, like a wound it refused to clean. But that February morning in 1983, something inside called out. Two workers, just men, doing a job, were sent to check a line. They stepped past the broken threshold and into the dark. The smell hit first. Wet wood, mold, a breath of something long decay. Light barely reaching the interior. Their boots crunched over the broken tile. Rat droppings, a child's shoe that didn't belong. They found the basement door ajar. They went down anyway. The air was different there, still, thick with dust that didn't stir. And in the middle of the room, light only by a pale spill of light from a narrow broken window, was her. She was laying face down, small, too small. No movement, no sound, just a slight figure in the center of the concrete floor, placed as if in offering, a caution. She wore a yellow V-neck sweater, too long for her frame. The sleeve bunched around her thin arms. It reached just to her knees, but covered little. Her legs was bare, skin marked with cold. Her feet dusty and pale, pointed outward slightly, as if even in death she was unsure which way to go. Red and white nylon cord bit into her wrists, tied together in front of her. There were bruises around her neck. The deep and dreadful signature of someone who had stolen her last breath. And worst of all, she had no head. No face to sorrow, no mouth to scream, no eyes to look into and say, "You are seen." There was only her body left in the dark, a girl with no name, a child whose story had been silent twice, one by death and one by design. And somewhere in the city above, someone still lived, walking sidewalk, buying groceries, shaking hands, who knew exactly why she was there. But for now, all anyone could do was stare in the crumbled basement and wonder, who was she? And why had no one come looking? And what kind of darkness leave a child like that alone in the cold with no head and no past? This is the case of St. Louis Jane Doe. There are houses in St. Louis you didn't look at for too long. They stood like the bones of an old giant, abandoned, half sunk, their windows blinded and empty. People passed them like tombstones, not speaking their name, not wondering who or what might be inside. On Clemens Avenue, there was such a house, 3-story of brick and silent, the kind of place you cross the street to avoid. In the winter, wind pushed broken shutters, open and closed, the clapping echoing like a slow heartbeat. On February the 28th, a pair of city workers entered one of those abandoned buildings at 5635 Clemens Avenue to inspect a utility line. It would be the last time they walked into a space, believing that horror had limits. They went in through the back entrance. Half the door was missing. The inside was worse. Mold bloomed across the walls. The floor was broken in places, the ceiling sagging. Rats had long since claimed the upstairs, and downstairs was no better. Still, they descended into the basement. There was no light down there, only a single shaft of a winter sun from a basement window, broken long ago. The man walked carefully. The second stopped suddenly. In the half light, he saw it. A small, still shape laying face down on the concrete. A girl. The girl was maybe 8 or 9. She wore a yellow V-neck sweater and nothing else. Her skin was deep brown and her arms at her side. Her feet were bare and cold, the soles pale and wrinkles like she'd been somewhere wet. Her wrists were tied in front of her with a red and white nylon cord. There was no blood, and she had no head. By the time the detectives arrived, the building was already crawling with uniforms, cameras, notebook, and whispers in shock. Even the most seasoned among them looked shaken. Detective Lee Cannon was the first on the scene. He worked homicide in North St. Louis for 8 years. He had seen the worst the city had to offer: gunshot wounds, gang killing, the aftermath of a domestic rage. But this was different. I remember thinking, he would say years later, that this girl wasn't just killed. She was erased. The St. Louis medical examiner estimated the girl to be between 8 and 11 years old. She weighed 60 pounds and stood about 4'10". She had been sexually assaulted, then strangled, and then decapitated with precision. They guessed it. She'd been dead for 3 to 5 days. She had not eaten in at least a day. There are no signs of diseases or long-term neglect. She had good teeth and well-trimmed nails, but no blood pooled around her. No bruises on her legs to suggest that she'd been dragged. Whoever killed her had done so somewhere else, cleaned her and posed her body deliberately in the cold, molded, soaked basement. The yellow sweater was analyzed, cheaply made, no tags, nothing to trace. The cords were mass-produced, used on windows blinds or clotheslines, ordinary, useless. And she had no head, no teeth to match to records, no face to search in database, no eyes for someone to remember.
Medical examiners later confirmed what the detectives had already feared. This was a murder and post-mortem decapitation, done with a heavy blade or a very sharp knife. There was no sign of the head anywhere in the building or surrounding area. It had been taken like a trophy or a warning. They called her Jane Doe. The press began calling her Little Jane Doe, or the girl in the yellow sweater. Authorities launched a search all across 50 states. They compared her DNA, her fingerprints, and dental structure against every known missing child. No matches, no school reported a missing girl, no neighbors came forward, no family members ever called. Even as composite sketches were made, guessing what she might have looked like, there were no results. For a child to vanish so completely, someone had to help her disappear. Investigators feared the worst, that whoever raised her, housed her, or owned her had never intended for her to live a full life. She was born in silence, lived unseen, and died unclaimed. The FBI got involved. Investigators floated theories. Was she from out of state? A runaway kidnapped or trafficked? Was she a victim of a ritualistic murder, given the strange precision of her injuries? Was she a secret child, never registered, never claimed, never missed? The yellow sweater was analyzed, studied, photographed. No tags, no brand. Mass-produced, worthless as evidence. So the case sat, cold, quiet, dark, just like the basement she came from. The public responded with outrage, then sorrow, then silence. The case generated a short burst of media attention, but without a name or a face, it was hard to sustain interest. She became an unsolvable riddle, a face that never existed, a tragedy without a story. Some whispered that the murder had cult ties. The clean decapitation, the lack of blood, the ritualistic pose. They talked of devil worship, satanic panic, the kind of talk that burns through the neighborhoods like smoke, but leaves no fire behind. Others suggested she may have been used in human trafficking, a child abducted and abused until her captors no longer needed her. Then there were darker whispers. A family member, a parent, someone who knew her and wanted her gone. Someone who could dispose of a child and not feel compelled to lie, to grieve, or to report. But there was no proof, no leads, no confession. She was buried in Washington Park Cemetery, with no family to stand by her grave. Her headstone simply read, Jane Doe, 1983. A few detectives refused to let it go. They kept the file on their desk, took it home on weekends. They looked at the crime scene photos until the edges wore thin. But leads never came. And as the decades passed, she became an urban legend. The basement girl, some called her. The child with no face. Others refused to speak about her at all, afraid of what her story said about the world. No one remembered her running down a street or sitting in a classroom. She had been erased with terrifying efficiency. How could someone be so completely unconnected in a world full of cameras, paperwork, birth certificates, family trees? How could a child vanish without ever being known? The house on Clemens Avenue is gone now, torn down years ago. On its place is an empty lot, overgrown with weeds and half-hearted fencing. Most people pass it without a second glance. But the locals say the ground feels strange there, like the earth hasn't quite decided to settle. Some say on cold nights they hear a girl's voice, a whisper, soft, like the flutter of fabric or a laugh cut short. Others say they've dreamed of her, a girl in a yellow sweater, standing at the edge of the basement stairs. No face, just the sweater and the ropes, and a terrible quiet. Who was she? What happened to her head? Why did no one look for her? And what kind of world do we live in where a child can be buried in an unmarked grave for decades, and no one comes to claim her, not even in death. There are no answers, only the soft rustle of a yellow sweater in memory, a cold wind across concrete, a case file buried in dust, still marked, unsolved. Before we end this case, let's sit back and remember the young girl. She was only a little girl, maybe 8, maybe 9, maybe 11. We don't even know her age for certain because we don't know her name. We never did. On a cold day in February 1983, in a crumbling house on Clemens Avenue in North St. Louis, 2 city workers stepped into the basement of an abandoned building and found a nightmare. There, in the stillness of concrete and silence, lay the body of a small black girl. She was face down, wearing only a yellow V-neck sweater that hung to her knees. Her hands were bound with a red and white cord. Her legs were bare. Her feet were cold. She had been assaulted. She had been strangled. And in a final, unspeakable act of cruelty, her head had been taken. No blood, no signs of a struggle. She had been killed elsewhere, then left there, like something forgotten, like trash. But she was a child. A child. They tried to find out who she was. The police searched through missing children cases across the country. Her fingerprints were ran. Her DNA was tested. Her bones were studied. She was exhumed 30 years later so her face could be reconstructed. But no one ever came for her. No family. No friends. No teacher. No teacher said, she was in my class. No neighbor said, I used to see her playing outside. She was alive. Somewhere. Once. She had a favorite color. She had a voice. She had dreams. Little ones. Like birthday cakes and summer days. But she was silenced. Not just by her killer, but by the world. And that's the tragedy. Not just that she died, but that she died alone and unknown. This is the case of St. Louis, Jane Doe. Now let's get into some theories.
Theories.
Let's get into some theories. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Lesbian detectives. What type of thoughts you thinking? What theories running through your mind? I'm thinking all types of suspicion. Uncover the truth, what we can find. Witness say they saw somebody creeping out the back door. What you think they did it for? That's so crazy, I'm not sure. They found a car, where could she be? Here go another puzzle piece. Researching through your history. It's plenty unsolved mysteries. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories, yeah. Let's get into some theories. Let's get into some theories. Everyone is a suspect until proven guilty. Let's get into some theories. Lesbian detectives.
You or me?
Go ahead.
So people might say like, wow, there's no information in this case. There's nothing. How you gonna do theories? I got theories. Let me tell you something. How the police said how well she was taken care of, I kind of believe that her family didn't have any papers. So they couldn't say their child was missing. Because I know sometimes back in the day, kids that parents didn't have any paper, if they went missing, the family didn't say anything because they were scared they was going to probably get sent back to where they was from. That always hit me because they said that how her body was, she was very well taken care of. Her nails were trimmed. Everything about her seemed like she had good family. To me, I feel like somebody probably kidnapped her and they probably knew that her family was undocumented. I mean, that's a big possibility because it seemed like the police searched for her. They tried to find out who she belonged to. To me, I do feel like her parents probably didn't have any papers and they couldn't say, hey, my child is missing because they might got sent back.
I disagree with that because coming from a family that didn't have any papers, at the end of the day, I would rather get caught and sent back to my own country than to never figure out what happened to my daughter. That's just my personal belief.
But they can be your belief, but you don't know what country they ran from. You don't know what trouble they had over there in that country. Some people come over here for a reason because they run away from that country that probably would unalive them if they came back. That's a nightmare too. I hear a lot of cases in women who ran from Africa. The things if they went back, they wouldn't even make it probably off the plane. And that's a big fact too. It's like whoever the parents are, they probably sit back like, dang, do I tell like this is my child or do I get sent back? I mean, that's a big possibility.
I feel like I would try and look for somebody that did have papers, tell them my story, and kind of have them represent me. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like if you want to find something, anything you want to do, you set your mind to, you're going to get it done. You're going to find a way.
I think that's you though. You got to think about somebody in the 1980s. We have social media, we have all of that. So if she was a Jane Doe in our time, it'd been plastic all over everywhere. But back then, they didn't have all this technology that we had. They didn't have that. So I mean, to me, she probably was undocumented. I don't know, because they could not find no records of somebody that looked like her, of anything. She probably was. Probably didn't go to school. She probably was new to America.
Well, her DNA is now in the database. So thanks to Ancestry, or 23andMe, that could be a good tool to see if she has any family or anyone that matches her DNA.
But I watched this episode of Found. Anybody watch Found? Let me know. A lot of the kids that family didn't have papers, they got kidnapped. And when they got kidnapped, the family would went to like the police, said, hey, like my little girl, my little boy got kidnapped, and they would have shipped them back to where their country was. They didn't even look for the kid. Or sometimes my grandma did tell me back in the day, a local, like somebody from like the hood, the project, if they say, hey, my child been kidnapped, the police would write down, but they would never put the missing person report in the system.
I mean, I feel like it is a big possibility that she was here undocumented. I feel like if that is the case, or the route that we want to take, I would say that she got kidnapped from another country.
Okay.
And that's probably why nobody claimed her over here in the U.S.
I mean, that's a big possibility, because that was one of the police believed, human trafficking. They did believe that. Because sometimes they would get kids overseas, bring them over here and sell them to like rich families or single people, never know. And they will unalive them and, never hear them
Use
again.
them and abuse them. And then eventually get rid of them once they have no use for them.
Let's be honest. They didn't stop. You could not tell me like this person just unalive her and that was the only victim. And the police said how the head was cut off, it was surgical cut, like clean cut. So that person may have some experience in the medical field too.
Yeah.
And it's also most scary because that person could be a doctor. They could be dealing with people's lives every single day. And they had the evil in them to hurt this young girl. That's crazy, man.
Based on the body, she was pretty well kept. So it might have been a recent kidnapping. It almost seemed like she wasn't with her kidnapper or the abuser for a long time. Because she was still upkept. I wish they would have provided more details as to what exactly happened to her.
I feel like in our time period right now that we do have more technology than the police did in the 80s.
Yeah.
I just feel like it could be, I feel like the police could look now, like try to do something now. I learned a lot of cases, they have DNA, but they haven't put like any DNA matches to make a profile or anything like that to be compared to anybody, like how we did Ancestry. I feel like that should be like a thing now. Like some of the older cases, like 20 years or 30 years, even 10 years or 5 years, should be, if they have that DNA, they should make a profile and try to see if they are in the database.
Okay, so let's talk about another theory they mentioned, the cult. I know there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of money, a lot of power, and they like to do certain rituals to contain their power, money, status, fame. I mean, it sounds like it could have been that too.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I mean, she was sexually assaulted. I don't know what all rituals they have. I don't know if it was during the ritual, before the ritual, after the ritual. I have no idea. I don't attend none of that stuff. But that is also a possibility. And the house that they found her in, did they ever look back to see who used to live there?
I don't know. There's nothing in the record because I did actually try to look into that. But that house was abandoned for so many years. That was just like a. You ever have it like in the projects? You have the abandoned house, like you're like, ugh, like it's just there. Like everybody know, like this is a creepy house, not to go in. But to me, it had to be somebody from the neighborhood. If you think about it, somebody who knew that house.
Exactly.
Because somebody like me and you that's coming into town, we wouldn't know. But somebody that's been in that neighborhood 1,000 times, walked by that house 1,000 times.
Although we can also say we had some squatters live right next to us,
Oh, yeah.
and we didn't even know.
Guys, this is like a new neighborhood. Like our house is newly built. And we did not know we had squatters next door until like somebody was coming to look at the house and like, hey, somebody live there. I'm like, who? Like I've never seen anybody live here.
Never saw anybody.
Okay, get back on track.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's somebody that was there, so somebody who knew the neighborhood, somebody who knew that the house was condemned, or somebody who had records to property values, property statuses. Again, big, powerful people.
Yeah, but that house, how they describe it, how it was described, like I couldn't walk in it.
And then they said that when they found her, she didn't have any blood anymore. So it's like they drained her. So that does kind of fall into the ritual aspect of it. I don't know. I've heard that, sometimes they drink the blood or they bathe in it or they do something with the blood. I don't know. Guys, don't come get me. I've just seen movies. I've heard stories. But it is sounding more and more like a ritual to me now.
Okay, think about it. Okay, if she was kidnapped from a family that was undocumented or from a different country, and somebody did do rituals over her, that could make sense. They got a kid. Listen, they got a kid that nobody will miss. Her family probably is in a different country thinking she's still living her life here.
Yeah.
She could have been from an orphanage and they could have easily adopted her. You never know.
Right.
Because to me,
no, but an orphanage will do wellness checks.
now if it's overseas.
Yeah, they still do.
Well, they could, but they're going to call and then the people can disconnect their phone. They never answer again. I mean, how long they going to answer? Probably she's right here for a couple months.
Yeah, but I feel like they have a duty. So if they go missing, then they would contact the law enforcement to go after this person.
Babe,
that's what I'm thinking.
How many cases have we done with kids went missing with the foster care system?
Well, I know. But that should be their duty, is to follow up, follow throughs. If not, what's the point?
Yeah, they put should be. It's always put should be. You know those just crossed my mind right now?
What?
The blood. Mm-hmm. It was like the police kept saying there was no blood at the crime scene. There was no blood. There was no blood. And to me, I'm like, we know she wasn't unalive there. There's no possibility. But with that blood, I wonder if this person do have surgical experience, do you think he have his own little lab somewhere?
Could be. Yeah.
It's just so like the police haven't told us about how her body was that I have so much questions. I mean, the police, I looked into this, guys, and hopefully y'all can let me know. But I wonder if there was stone blood anywhere in the crime scene, nowhere on her really. Did he redress her and take out her organs or anything like that? I don't know. Or did he do surgical acts on her? Because if he had surgical experience and the head was cut off so good, what else did he do to her body though, to me?
Right.
Because the police said she was bound together. She was still found bound together. It is a lot.
Yeah, it could have been somebody in the medical field who had surgical experience or somebody that knew how to hunt.
Oh. Oh, I didn't think about a hunter.
Yeah.
Because I used to go to school, a lot of hunters, and they knew how to chop up some pieces.
And honestly, if you have a lot of money, a lot of power, you don't want to be found out. You're going to hire the right people to take care of the right things. If it is an organization that sold her organs, that's kind of how you keep it alive. How much does a kidney go in the black market? I don't know. But I'm assuming it's a lot of money, you know, liver, lungs, everything. If you think about it.
I mean, it's a possibility. We don't know if her organs were still in her body. I mean, the police didn't say it, but there's a lot of things the police will hide from us until they, know a lot more.
Or I know too, I've watched some movies. Sometimes they eat the organs.
Okay. Like Jeffrey?
Like Jeffrey. Or I believe there was I don't know if it was the Aztecs.
Yeah, don't quote me.
I'm not sure. But yeah, like some of the rituals they would eat the organs as well. So I don't know. I'm thinking more and more it's a ritual.
One thing I feel like that person, what if they own that house?
That person or group?
That person or that group, what if they own that house?
Yeah.
I wonder if different bodies was probably found in abandoned houses. What if they didn't have the time to really like dispose of her? Or what if they were trying to like put some concrete on top of her body or do something for you won't even know? I remember I saw a case that guy, he did have bodies around different abandoned buildings, but like he put like a wall. So like that he would hide them behind the wall. And until the police like broke down some buildings, that's when they found the kids' bodies.
Yeah.
But this case, one thing, I know this case is kind of weird. I love John Doe and Jane Doe's. I know it's kind of weird, but I love cases like this that doesn't have a name, but you see like how the police did all the work and technology gave them their name. And sometimes a lot of kids that do go missing, it is the family though. And also the head.
Unless the family sold her.
That could be a thing too. Because the S.A.N. But the head though. Why did you take the head? Did you keep the head?
As a trophy, yeah.
But it's been over like 30 some years.
It is sounding more and more like a ritual because they keep certain trophies.
I'm so mad. Yeah. I don't know a lot about stuff like that, so it's hard for me to get into it.
Me either,
But I'm thinking more of the undocumented thing.
I'm just thinking if it was like somebody who just pedophile wanted to sexually assault her, I don't see why he would take the head. Unless he's like a serial killer that collects all of this stuff. Another reason why they would take the head is so they wouldn't be able to identify the individual. Nowadays, like you said, we have more technology. They can run that DNA. But I don't know. Like to me, the only thing that we can do now is just wait and see if there's a match. Family member. I hope that they got the DNA from the offender who sexually assaulted her as well. And we can just give this little girl like the peace and the recognition that she deserved.
It's just sad that she was so young. That's the hardest part. But whoever done this, one day your time will come and the police will get you because it's never too late.
Justice will be served. I believe in karma, good and bad.
Karma's a P. But that's our case, guys. Don't forget, we will go live on May the 2nd every Friday. We will talk about the case, hear your guys' theory, hear what you believe about what happened in the case. And also, we will have a special guest on next week's episode. So please stay tuned. I can't wait to get this organization on our show to help spread their message. And guys, we were talking about the case that actually start this person organization. That is big.
Yes.
We are on all social media. We're on YouTube. So please go follow us on YouTube and TikTok so you will not miss us going live. I cannot wait to see you guys. I love you all. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And also hit that notification button so you do not miss an episode on Lesbian Detective. This is Lesbian Detective. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
Don't forget, everybody's suspect.
So proven innocent.
Bye.
Lesbian Detectives. unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives, Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.